My mother's father. My grandfather never called my mother by her real name. My mom revealed this to me on our hike up a hill. He always called me Gay. Gay, what does that mean? I asked. Gay, as in mi Gay tao, my mom replied. Oh, Shorty, I thought. That's so cute, I exclaimed. Yeah, she said with a chuckle. My mom loved her father tremendously. There is a clear pride and love in her voice when she talks about him. Back in Laos, he was a very good hunter. He would get squirrel, monkey, and other animals in the jungle, my mom told me. I wanted to follow him everywhere, and the only way he or my relatives could get me to stay was to give me some of the jerky meat from the animals he had hunted. This was all before he became addicted to opium. My grandfather had a lot of severe stomach pain, and the only thing Hmong people had in those days for chronic relief was opium. So my grandfather used it to numb his pain. My only image of my grandfather is a picture my mother has of him after cancer had already worn him down to just his skin and bones. He sent that picture from France, where my mother's side of the family had immigrated to, all the way to the United States, where my father's side of the family had immigrated to. An ocean of letters, cassette tapes, and pictures would be sent back and forth in the decades since they've lived apart. My grandfather died when I was still a young girl. I can remember that night vividly because my mother wailed so loud that I was startled from sleep. I didn't understand her pain and didn't know what to do, so I sat in bed and listened to her cry. My mother couldn't get to him in time because her visa and passport was still being processed. She arrived 3 days after his funeral. She regrets that to this day. The one joy she has is a few years before, she got to spend a whole month with her father and her family. It had been over 10 years since she had seen him previously. We were poor refugees who had lost everything in the war and were starting from scratch. As diligent as my mother is about saving, it still took her a long time to save enough to see her parents and siblings. I remember she came back and she looked very different. She had gained a lot of weight because her family was constantly feeding her. I didn't notice it much then, but I imagine now how happy she must have been, especially when her father would call her Gay